Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Gets Critical, brought to you in part by Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. I've got a pretty interesting one for you guys today. My friend H3nz was going into the final week of Grand Arena with a 7-2 record, which meant that he was going to need to win out all 3 of his matches in the final week in order to make Kyber. So we agreed before he had made or hadn't made Kyber, before he had done any of his matches at all, in fact, that he was going to record all 3 of his matches and we could do a Xaereth Gets Critical on all of them, regardless of the outcome. So this is the result of that. I hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, before we start, I do want to shout out all of my patrons. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. You guys are amazing. And I do want to point out, too, on the bottom right-hand side, my friend H3nz here, who we're doing the video about, is also a patron. So if he does really well, maybe we can draw some conclusions, eh? Alright, looking at the stats really quickly, H3nz is facing a dude named Sergaal, or maybe it's RM, but I prefer Rum. So H3nz has a gear advantage here, 43 gear 13 versus 34. That's pretty big. And then looking at mods and relics, H3nz has a slight advantage in the lower end, lower speed mods, but Sergaal has a pretty big advantage in the higher end mods. So that's unfortunate for H3nz. We'll see if he can overcome it. Looking at relics, it looks like Sergaal has a slight advantage in high-end relics, but it's really not that big a gap. This is a pretty even match, to be honest. So H3nz walked into the match, and he had not attacked for 9 hours since the start of it, which is fine. He was probably asleep. His opponent did attack, and to be honest, I don't necessarily know what kind of teams H3nz has on defense, but the score is not really one that I would be that afraid of, frankly. Going into a match, you need to be careful not to fail any, but even if you do fail some, like, you can still drop another 17 banners and beat it. So the first match is going to be a Commander Luke team with Old Ben and 3PO against this relict General Skywalker team. And this isn't a fully relict Skywalker team, but at the same time, H3nz does not have a fully relict Commander Luke team. Chewie is only relic 5, and Old Ben and 3PO are actually only gear 12. So you see, H3nz went straight for General Skywalker. He didn't try to stun ARC, Trooper, or Rex or anything, and really that's the approach that I always use as well. That's what I prefer. Now, he did do a pretty cool move. He had Han use his shrug ability, or whatever it's called, and that meant that Chewie was going to make Skywalker sit down without doing any counters, which is great. Then 5s went down super easy, probably modded for offense, which is actually a mistake if you want to have your characters on defense. If you have them on defense, you need them to be modded full defense. So all the clones are gone before the first topple is over, which is a wonderful result. And this looks like it's going to be a laugher. Looks like Old Ben did end up suiciding himself at the very end unnecessarily, but you'll have that with that dude. So anyways, this was actually a remarkably clean win. 57 banners. That's you lose banners for Old Ben dying, and that's it. Everyone else is good to go. So pretty strong first move by H3nz here. And all right, so next zone, it looks like his next fight, rather, is going to be in this other zone rather than clearing out the Newt team. There's a General Grievous squad there with Watt, and there is also a Darth Revan team here. I generally try to clear out the other zone first, but I can understand why H3nz would want to do this. These are pretty high-end teams. He needs to know how these are going so that he might need to adjust his strategy a little bit and try to take Newt out with a more less capable team. So his first move was to mark Watt here, and I actually really like seeing Jedi Revan here against a Grievous team with Watt. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I think that honestly taking Bastila is great against the pretty much every other variant, but I like Jedi Revan here instead of Bastila lead. There's a few different reasons, and we won't necessarily get into that, but I do think that's a good move. You need to mark Watt first, which is absolutely essential. You have to do that, and it's unfortunate because that means that B2 is going to get a lot of moves, but that's just what he needed to do. Now, he healed up his team with his AoE, which is great. You want to pick the character with the most turn meter, so good on him. And then, wow, I didn't realize that B2 is only he's only got gear 12 on him. So with a quick stun on Magnagard, H3nz was actually able to just bypass the taunting tech entirely. Now, B2 got taken out. This is going to be a laugher at this point. So Grandmaster Yoda called Revan to assist, it looks like, against General Grievous, and you see that B1 has Mark now. I think that was a mistake on H3nz's part. Even though he has Mark coming up, if you hit Grievous to below his max protection, he's just going to, put the forced taunt onto another droid as long as he has one alive. And if H3nz hadn't had a mark for Revan coming up pretty soon, like, he would have had to kill B1 before he could even touch General Grievous. So luckily he did have mark, obviously, and it's kind of a non-issue. But I do think that in order to maximize your play, I think the better move would have been for Yoda to call Revan for an assist. That was fine, but just against B1 instead until Revan had his mark available. 58 banners, it's hard to argue with that, especially against a Relict Watt team. And it looks like we're going to leave the Darth Revan team alone for a minute and go for this Newt team. And H3nz has Geonosians, apparently. They're all Relict, and this is going to be a pretty easy match, I'm assuming. Newt tends to do really poorly against Geonosians because one of the really awesome things that Newt does against Geonosians or against anyone is he can extort people. And he can't really do that against Geonosians. I mean, he can extort them, but then they can actually call everyone to assist by clicking the pay extort button. So it's not necessarily super effective. I do laugh about that, though, when I see people doing that. Alright, so this match is already over. H3nz did a good move by using Spy to just one-shot Dooku, which is great, so he doesn't start stunning everyone and making a mess of things. And now it's just a question of if he's going to get max banners or 55. He's got to heal at the right time. Looks like he did it now. And that's probably the right time, frankly. Newt is gone and can't hurt everyone. So good move here. Good win. I actually do question, though. I think that H3nz probably should have done this attack second. I think that would have been better, so he had a better picture of what was in the back zone, so that he could have a more complete picture. Geonosians against Newt is kind of a no-brainer, and frankly, he wouldn't have used the Geonosians against any of the squads on the bottom zone, so may as well just pull the trigger on that second one and get more information right away. That being said, I do think that attacking his General Skywalker first with Commander Luke was a pretty good move. So moving into this match, it looks like General Skywalker here is saved for offense, and that's cool. He's going to beat this Darth Revan team. It was never really going to be a threat, really. You can lose with Skywalker against Revan. That does happen sometimes. I've done it before myself, so that is a threat, but it doesn't happen too often here. And these aren't super high-end clones, or rather super high-end Darth Revan Sith Empire characters. So I think that this is going about as expected. The target priority might have been a little bit different than I would have chosen, but nothing wrong with it. 53 banners. That's what happens when you use General Skywalker on offense. You're going to drop banners. Alright, so nothing too scary in the back here. Nightsisters and Bosk. And then I think I saw a Karth team and Geonosians in the other zone. And I assume that H3nz has enough characters to be able to deal with that. Looks like he's going to try taking this Nightsisters out with Padme, which is great. I would actually probably recommend going after Geonosians first because, if you can't clear Geonosians, then you are, sorry, out of luck. With Nightsisters, there are a lot of other teams. Well, maybe not a lot, but there are other teams that can counter them at this point. And if you fail with Geonosians, or if you fail against Geonosians, Padme can absolutely destroy them. So, that being said, this is a fine move, I think, just different than I personally would have done. So, Padme is here just trying to kill the Nightsisters, and it looks kind of bad to start with, and Ahsoka actually did come pretty close to just getting taken out right away by Spirit. But once the Galactic Republic team starts spinning, like it's going to be really hard for the Nightsisters to keep up. So even though none of the Nightsisters have died yet, I'm pretty confident going into this that H3nz is going to just take these guys out. So, he's got a bunch of stacks of protection on guys now, and he's starting to one-shot Nightsisters, and it's going to get pretty ugly for Nightsisters. There's probably, in my opinion, there's not much more lopsided of a fight in this game than Nightsisters versus Padme. Like, Padme just completely destroys them. So looks like the second Nightsister went down. I was wondering why he was targeting Asajj there, and in fact I think that probably attacking Asajj there just a minute ago, it was kind of a mistake, just because she is not someone who can revive anyone. She can't revive anyone. You want to be targeting Daka with all of your courage and everything, if you can. So it looks like H3nz got his target priorities straight here, and now Daka is gone. May as well take out Asajj, though in general I prefer taking out Talzin next, because if Talzin can get a mass assist and take someone out, then that's going to be bad, because she can revive Daka, then Daka will revive everyone else. So that's just a small difference. That is something I would recommend looking at, though. And otherwise, this is a pretty good match. Doing your AoE with Anakin against someone with lower health, I think, was maybe an unoptimized move, but in general, that was just fine. Alright, so bouncing to the next zone, and H3nz did this time take out, or he's targeting the Geonosians, which is wise. You need to make sure that team is gone so you can make adjustments. And it looks like Traya, you guys actually saw it at the very opening. This is kind of cool. He's using all Sith. He's going for the feat here, which, maximizes your banners. Tries to, if he can win this in the next 2 matches, he'll make Kyber, but only if he has enough banners generated from all of his attacks. So even though Maul and Sidious are going to die, as you just saw, like, we don't care about banners anymore at this point. H3nz is going for the full clear with one-shots, and getting a lot of feats from the banner is going to be a lot better than going for just a couple extra banners and efficiency here. So that was a good move. And one thing I'd want to say, we've all seen this match a lot, so we'll ignore exactly what's going on. But one thing I want to say is I think that maybe it was a mistake of H3nz's opponent, the one I was making fun of his name, and now I can't remember it. I think his name is Rum or something. But anyways, I think this was a mistake. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, trying to put a bunch of pretty weak teams in the back. Front-loading all those teams in the front is great unless your opponent can beat them, but in which case they have to use their best squads. And then in the back, they have all their mediocre squads to tackle your mediocre squads. Like, there's no real decision-making going on here. They're going to use their specific team counters to be able to take out the really hard meta teams up front, and then once you get to the back, it's just like a holiday. Like, you can just destroy the person who you're facing, because you don't have to hold back. You can just use whatever meta teams you have left to take out their hardest teams, and that's it. Further, there wasn't any teams here that you could use Traya against in the front zone. That I guess you could use Traya against Newt, but honestly, why would you bother doing that when you have any number of other teams that can beat that team? In my opinion, that's a pretty unoptimized move for the opponent here. And he deserves the filthy things that H3nz is doing to him, frankly. That's what's going to happen. One thing I do want to point out here, this is a pretty standard counter Jedi training Rey against Bosk. At one point, H3nz was using R2-D2's smoke to try to put everyone into stealth, and it didn't work because Dengar was stealth, and Dengar's kit makes it so that you can't actually go into stealth when he is in stealth. Now, that's just fine. I mean, I still do that move actually, so that R2, if he doesn't have anyone else better to hit, R2 may as well just spin and get more Illuminated Destiny pieces off. So, it was just fine of a move. I just wanted to point that out. Anyways, the 58 banners is fine. It's definitely not 60, so I'm getting a little judgy there. But honestly, it's hard to get a full 60 against bounty hunters because they throw grenades, and you can't necessarily time it so that you can have full health and healing and everything at just the right time. So this match is a match after my own heart. I love First Order, love what they're doing. This looks like a pretty big mismatch. Carth teams, contrary to what every single person seems to be doing lately, Carth is just not a very good team. Like, it isn't, especially, this is crazy to me. There's no Zalbar here. Why are you running a Carth team with no Zalbar? Like, do you seriously think this is actually going to do anything? Maybe cost your opponent a couple banners, but this opponent, this guy, isn't going for an efficiency win anyways. Like, he's going for a slugfest win. He put his two best teams on defense to be able to counter H3nz here, on defense. And so, it's not going to be an efficiency battle. It's going to be, can you get through my front lines? And then, I guess just hope that one of these back squads, like, he may as well have just put Jawas in the back, or Tuskens, because actually Jawas can do some decent damage, with thermals and everything. So, anyways, this doesn't make much sense to me. That being said, First Order is more than a match for basically any Carth team at this point, and H3nz is just dismantling it appropriately. I love that Shore Trooper is here, and he's hard to kill, and he's protecting no one. So, whatever. This is a silly match. 60 banners. I don't know what this dude thought he was thinking. I don't know if he thought he was thinking at all. This was pretty bad. Alright, so end result, H3nz wins. He dropped 26 banners total, which isn't bad considering he had to take out a full Darth Revan squad and a General Skywalker squad. That's pretty tough, and plus the Relic Watt General Grievous squad, this is pretty decent efficiency. And we're just looking at H3nz's defense here, and it looks like the Darth Revan team on top there took 2 to get through, so that's always nice to see. That gives you a little breathing room. And honestly, H3nz needed that to happen, because if not, his opponent would have he was more efficient in terms of just overall banners in team-to-team fights. But he did get a defense, and his opponent was outmatched in terms of strategy. I mean, if you can't beat a Darth Revan squad on the first try, usually, maybe think about not putting your General Skywalker and Darth Revan teams on defense. Like, that, there's a thought for you. Like, make sure you can beat all the teams in the first hit. It seems wise to me. But anyways, good win by H3nz. A couple things that maybe weren't as optimized as I would have preferred, but that's not me slighting him. That's just me being a different player. We all approach things differently, and so this is a good win, and we'll see what happens in the next episode, and I guess we'll call it good. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. And in the first match, so did H3nz.